Nobody told you the truth about loss. They told you to fight for every relationship. They told you to hold on. They told you that losing people is a tragedy, that every departure is a wound, that every person who walks away took something from you. That is one of the most dangerous lies ever whispered into the ear of a generation built for greatness. Let me submit to you, the most important thing that ever happened to some of the greatest men and women who ever walked this earth was not what they gained. It was what they lost. It was who they lost. It was who lost them. You've been grieving the wrong thing. You've been fighting to keep people in your life who were never assigned to your life. And while you were fighting to retain what was never meant to stay, the assignment for which you were manufactured sat untouched, unpursued, and slowly buried. The truth they never told you is this: some people are not supposed to find you. They are supposed to lose you. And the moment you stop making yourself findable by the wrong ones, the right assignment begins. This is not motivation. Motivation is what you give a person who already knows where they are going, but has simply run low on fuel. What you're about to receive is revelation. You don't need motivation, you need revelation. You need someone to tell you the truth about why you feel out of place in rooms that should feel like home. You need someone to tell you why certain relationships drain instead of fill. You need someone to tell you why losing certain people did not feel like loss at all. It felt like relief. That feeling was not betrayal. That was your design speaking. That was your manufacturer sending you a signal. Every product ever manufactured has a user group. It has a specific environment for which it was designed to operate. You do not take a deep-sea submarine and complain that it cannot perform on a mountain road. The submarine was not built for mountains. It was built for depth. And every time you put it on a road, every time you make it carry passengers it was not designed to carry, you are not honoring the machine. You are destroying it. The question is not, why do I keep losing people? The real question is, why have I been trying to be used in an environment I was never manufactured for? Let me show you the harsh truth about being let go and letting go so that your actual assignment can finally begin. There is a lie that has attached itself to purpose-driven people like a parasite. And it goes like this: the more people who want you, the more valuable you are. The marketplace of social approval has convinced an entire generation that their worth is measured by their popularity. That if fewer people understand you, something is wrong with you. That if relationships keep ending, the fault is yours. That visibility is the same thing as significance. None of that is true. And the sooner you bury that thinking, the sooner you become dangerous. Consider how gold is processed. Before gold ever becomes a crown, before it ever adorns a king, it goes through fire. And in that fire, everything that is not gold rises to the surface. It is called dross. And the refiner does not apologize for the heat. The refiner does not mourn what floats away. Because what floats away was never gold. It was always just taking up space where gold was supposed to be. Some of the people who left you were dross. They were not evil. They were simply not gold. Not for your level. Not for your assignment. Not for the temperature your life is about to reach. You cannot carry what floats at the sight of fire into a season that requires fire. Let it go. Here's another lie. You need people's permission to become who you were designed to be. This is crippling. This is what keeps gifted people performing at 30% of their actual capacity for decades. They wait. They wait for validation from people who were never given the authority to validate them. Let me use a legal framework here. In a kingdom, authority flows from the throne downward. A citizen cannot grant authority to a prince. A peasant cannot commission an ambassador. The permission you're waiting for from your family members, from your old friends, from the people who knew you before your assignment was revealed, they do not have the jurisdiction to grant it. You're not waiting on people. You are avoiding the king. When you go back to the source, back to the manufacturer, you discover that the license was already issued. The assignment was already sealed. The people whose permission you sought were never on the approval committee. The third lie is the most vicious. Staying is always loyalty, and leaving is always betrayal. This is backwards. Sometimes the most disloyal thing you can do to your purpose is to stay. A seed buried in soil that cannot receive it does not stay out of loyalty. It dies out of confusion. There's a difference between being planted and being buried. You were not designed to be buried by relationships, environments, and circles that cannot receive your design. A fish does not apologize for leaving land. It does not call itself disloyal because it returns to water. It is simply operating in the environment for which it was manufactured. When you leave environments that cannot support your design, you are not abandoning people, you are honoring your blueprint. The fourth lie, if you were truly great, everyone would recognize it. History destroys this argument completely. The seed of every world-changing idea was first rejected in the room where it was born. The Wright brothers were laughed at. Every system disrupting invention, every paradigm shifting movement, every generational gift was first misidentified by the very culture it was about to transform. Premature recognition is actually a warning sign, not a reward. If everyone applauds what you have not yet built, examine whether what you're building is revolutionary enough. The assignment that will define your legacy will first be misunderstood by those closest to you. Let them misunderstand. Let them lose you to the version of you they could not yet comprehend. The revelation will come later. Your job is to remain faithful to the design, not to the audience. And the fifth lie, perhaps the subtlest, time spent maintaining relationships is never wasted. This sounds compassionate. It sounds mature. But when you spend the hours, the emotional energy, the creative capital of your peak years managing relationships that are fundamentally misaligned with your design, that is not generosity. That is hemorrhaging. There is a difference between investment and hemorrhage. An investment returns. A hemorrhage simply drains. Some of the relationships you have been calling investments have been bleeding you for years. You have confused loyalty with loss. Real loyalty is to your assignment and then to the people assigned to it alongside you. Now let me teach you the principles upon which this truth is built. Because if you only have the conclusion without the architecture, the next compelling voice you hear will shake it loose. You need principles that hold under pressure. Principle one, every manufacturer designs a product for a specific function. When that function is clear, everything else about the product becomes clear. Its materials, its limitations, its ideal environment, its maintenance requirements, its user group. You are not an accident assembled without intent. You are carefully engineered original produced by a manufacturer who had a specific gap in mind before the production even began. The gap existed first. The need existed first. Then you were manufactured to fill it. This means your life is not a random search for meaning. It is a return to assignment. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you do not know what you were made for, anyone can use you for anything, and they will. They will use you for their comfort, for their entertainment, for their validation, for their agenda. And because you do not know your function, you will let them. The moment you know what you were made for, misuse becomes obvious. You can feel it. You can name it. You can refuse it. Application. Spend 30 days studying not what you enjoy, but what you cannot stop returning to even when no one rewards you for it. That quiet compulsion is the manufacturer's signature on your design. Principle 2, potential is always invisible to the wrong environment. You can place the most advanced seed in the world in the wrong soil, in the wrong climate, with the wrong water, chemistry, and it will not germinate. The problem is never the seed. The problem is always the environment. This is why some of the most gifted people on earth appear average in certain rooms and extraordinary in others. The seed did not change. The environment changed. People who lost you, some of them were simply the wrong soil. Their questions could not interrogate your potential. Their vision could not water your design. Their culture could not produce the chemical conditions your growth required. You were not failing in those rooms. You were simply unplanted. And unplanted seeds do not become forests. The graveyard is the richest place on earth, not because it holds dead bodies, it holds unplanted seeds. Dreams that never found their soil. Gifts that never found their assignment. Potential that was swallowed by the wrong environment before it ever broke the surface. The most dangerous thing that can happen to a life is dying unplanted. Let them lose you before that happens. Principle 3, your assignment is not the same as your activity. This distinction will change everything. Activity is what you do when you are busy avoiding your assignment. Activity feels productive. It has timelines and deliverables and meetings and reports. But if none of it is connected to the specific gap you are manufactured to fill, it is glorified distraction. Assignment is different. Assignment has a weight to it. Assignment costs you something. Assignment requires you to be in environments that fit your design, surrounded by people who are connected to the same mandate. Many people have left their assignment to maintain their activity because the activity came with approval and the assignment came with opposition. Your family understood the activity. Your friends supported the activity. But when you mentioned the assignment, the room went quiet. And because silence frightened you, you traded the assignment for more activity. The cost of that trade is the exact gap you were designed to fill remaining empty while you were busy filling gaps that anyone else could have filled. You are not anyone. You are specific designed for a specific gap. Application, identify the 3 things you're currently doing that literally anyone else could do, and the 1 thing that only you carry. The ratio of your time should reflect that hierarchy. Principle 4, original designs cannot be reverse engineered from copies. When a manufacturer releases a product, the blueprint lives in the manufacturer's design studio, not in the market. If you want to understand the original, you go back to the source. You do not study other people's versions of what you should be and call that self-discovery. Self-discovery is going back to the manufacturer. It is going back to the original blueprint. Every time you have shaped yourself to match the expectation of a room, you move further from the original and closer to a copy. A copy can never outperform the original. in the function for which the original was designed. You cannot outcopy yourself into fulfilling your assignment. The original must emerge. And the original will alienate the people who are comfortable with the copy. That is not crisis. That is calibration. Let them lose the copy. The original was never theirs to keep. Principle 5 in kingdom economics. The size of your contribution determines your sphere, not your popularity. The kingdom does not run on applause. It runs on assignment completion. A soldier who completes his mission in silence contributes more than a general who gives inspiring speeches without executing strategy. This culture has confused the megaphone with the mandate. Having a large platform is not the same as having a large assignment. Having millions who see you is not the same as having millions who are changed by what you carry. Let me submit to you. You can have a small visible audience and a massive invisible impact. And that impact will outlast every trending voice of your generation. Focus on the depth of your assignment, not the width of your audience. The right people, the people who are assigned to receive what you carry, will find you only when you are fully operating in your original design. They cannot find a copy of you. They were given coordinates to the original. Be the original. Stand in your assignment. Let everyone else lose you. The real ones are tracking the signal your authentic function emits. Principle 6. Dominion begins at the point of clarity, not the point of comfort. Every great expansion in history, every territory claimed, every industry disrupted, every culture shifted, began with a moment of absolute clarity about the assignment, not with a comfortable consensus from everyone around. Dominion is not aggressive. Dominion is simply a person fully occupying the territory of their design. When you occupy your territory fully, you naturally displace what was occupying it in your absence. That displacement is not violence, it is order being restored. Some relationships were occupying the territory of your assignment in your absence. When you step into your assignment, they will feel displaced. They will call you arrogant. They will call you change. They will say you think you are better. What they're really saying is that your clarity is disrupting their comfort with your limitation. Let them feel displaced. Your dominion is not their oppression. It is your obedience. Principle 7, the right people are never deterred by your assignment. They are drawn by it. The connections that are meant to last, the collaborators, the co-laborers, the ones who are assigned to work alongside your mandate, they are not looking for a version of you that is easier to manage. They are looking for the full expression of your design, because that full expression is what their own assignment connects with. You have been dimming your light to keep people who are bothered by brightness. But the people assigned to your next level are not drawn to your dimness. They are drawn to your design. Stop shrinking to maintain connections that were never meant for your full dimensions. The right people will not need you to shrink. They will need you to expand. Now, let me tell you about a man I know who spent 11 years in the wrong assignment. He was good at it. Exceptional, even. The promotions came consistently. The approval flowed in like a reliable tide. His family was proud. His circle was impressed. But in the quiet hours, in the margins of his mornings, before the performance began, there was a persistent whisper, a pull towards something he could not name. He had blueprints in his desk that he told himself were hobby projects. He had conversations with himself about a different kind of work, a different kind of contribution that he labeled daydreams. One afternoon, he was passed over for promotion, given to someone with less experience, fewer results, and a personality that better matched the culture of the room. That night, he sat with the humiliation. And in the humiliation, something remarkable happened. The whisper got loud. Not louder out of anger, louder out of clarity. He pulled out the blueprints from the desk. He looked at them for the first time without apologizing for them. And he saw, as if for the first time, that what he had called a hobby was actually his assignment wearing casual clothes. He had been performing in a theater that was never his stage. The rejection did not wound him. It released him. He let that world lose him. 2 years later, the gap he was manufactured to fill had his name written inside it. And the people who were assigned to receive what he carried had finally found him, not because he chased them, but because he stopped hiding in the wrong address. Consider the bamboo tree. You plant a bamboo seed and you water it. For 4 years, you see nothing. The earth looks unchanged. Someone walking by would tell you that nothing is happening. But underground, something is building a root system so deep, so wide, so structurally sound that when it finally breaks the surface, it grows 90 feet in 90 days. The people who could not wait for your underground season, let them lose you. They were not designed to see the underground work. They needed quick, visible results. And your assignment required invisible foundation. You did not fail to grow. You were growing where they could not see. And now you're about to break the surface. What looks like a sudden explosion to the people who lost you was actually years of unwitnessed fidelity to the design. Here is a business parable. Imagine a technology company that hires an engineer of extraordinary capacity, but places her in a customer service department because the department needs help and she is cooperative. She handles customer complaints brilliantly. The metrics look great. Her manager praises her. But the problem she was actually hired to solve, the structural design failures in the product itself, remain unsolved. The company grows slowly. The competition begins to close the gap. One day, the engineer is reassigned to product design. Within 18 months, the structural failures are resolved, the product is transformed, and the market share doubles. The customer service department mourns losing her. They say she was their best. But her being their best was the problem. She was so good at the wrong assignment that no one felt the urgency to put her in the right one. What if she had voluntarily stepped back from the praise of the wrong assignment sooner? What if she had let the customer service department lose her, not out of arrogance, but out of fidelity to her actual design? The product would have been fixed years earlier. The gap would have been filled on schedule. She was not being selfish by honoring her function. She was being faithful to the people the product was meant to serve. There are people waiting on the product of your correct assignment that you have been delaying because you are too busy being excellent in the wrong department. Stop. I need to interrupt this for a moment. Because some of you have been reading and nodding and telling yourself this is profound, and the entire time your mind has been applying this principle to someone else, to someone you know who plays small, to a colleague who needs to hear this. And you've been completely avoiding the mirror. So let me be direct. I am not talking to your neighbor. I am talking to the person who has been excellent in the wrong assignment for so long that the excellence has become the prison. I am talking to the person who has maintained relationships for approval that cost them their assignment. I am talking to the person who knows in the marrow of their bones in the hours before the performance begins that what they are doing is not what they were made for. That the skills they are deploying are real, but the field is wrong. That the applause is real, but the stage is wrong. That the relationships are real, but the direction is wrong. I am talking to you, not the general you specifically, right now. The graveyard is filling up with people who are too polite, too accommodating, too afraid of disappointment to let the wrong people lose them in time. Your assignment is expiring while you maintain a performance that was never yours to give. Now, let me show you how to let them lose you intentionally, strategically, and without apology. Wake up first. Ask yourself these diagnostic questions with honesty. What am I doing right now that produces results but leaves me empty? What relationships am I maintaining that require me to be less than my design? What would I stop doing tomorrow if approval were removed from the equation? What would I start doing tomorrow if no one I currently know would ever find out? Where do I feel most like a copy? The answers to these questions are not information, they are indictments. They are the manufacturer's quality control report, and every deviation from the original design is marked in red. Most people read the report and file it. The ones who actually change something, read the report, feel the weight of it, and make a decision. Not a resolution. Not a goal. A decision. A decision is different from a resolution. A resolution says, I would like to. A decision says, this is what is. A decision creates a new present reality. Make the decision to wake up. Remember who you were before the copy started forming. Go back. Not to nostalgia, to design. When you were a child, before the corrections began, before the performance was demanded, before the approval was required, what did you reach for? What could you do for hours without a reward? What problems did you find interesting when no one was watching and no grade was being assigned? That was not immaturity. That was the original specification showing itself before the cultural software was installed. The manufacturer puts a serial number on every product. Yours is written in those early instincts. Go back and read it. Identity recovery is not therapy, it is archaeology. You are digging for something real that was buried, not inventing something new that does not exist. It is already there. It was always there. Recover it. Decide. Decide that you will no longer allow the fear of losing people to override the mandate of your assignment. Decide that your purpose is not a negotiating chip in the economy of approval. Decide that from this point forward, your primary loyalty is to the design, and that every relationship, every environment, every commitment will be evaluated through the lens of that design. Decide that you are no longer available for delusion. Decide that the version of you that was assembled by other people's expectations is hereby retired. This is a point of no return. The decision does not mean you become cruel or dismissive of people. It means you stop being cruel to your assignment in order to be comfortable for people who were never assigned to your design. The decision costs something. Let it cost. Pay the price now. The alternative is paying a far greater price in the currency of a life unlived. Now act. Specifically. Here is what the next 90 days look like. In the first 30 days, you conduct an environmental audit. Every relationship, every commitment, every regular environment, you ask one question. Does this connection require me to be more or less of my original design? Create 2 lists. One list is where you can be full. One list is where you must shrink. This is intelligence. You are not cutting people off. You are mapping the territory. In days 31 through 60, you begin orienting your energy toward the full list. This does not mean you abandon the shrink list overnight. It means you stop investing creative capital, emotional energy, and peak hours into it. You give it what is appropriate, courtesy, care, basic respect, but you stop hemorrhaging into it. In days 61 through 90, you build one thing, not 5 things. One thing that is directly connected to the gap your design was manufactured to fill. It does not have to be finished. It has to be started. The starting is the signal to your design, to your manufacturer, and to the people who are assigned to receive what you carry. The signal changes the coordinates. The right people will find the signal. The wrong ones will not understand it. That is the point. Now hear this. I need to speak to you about what is actually happening. Right now, at this moment in your life, something is breaking. Something that was designed to contain your limitation is cracking. And I know it feels like loss. I know some of the relationships that are ending feel like loss. I know some of the rooms you're being expelled from feel like loss. I know some of the identities that are dissolving, the roles you played, the versions of yourself you performed feel like loss. But let me decree this over your life. What you are calling loss is actually the breaking of a container that was too small for what you're about to carry. You cannot put new wine in old containers. The container will burst. The wine will be lost. The container and the wine both lose. The kingdom solution is not to mourn the old container. The kingdom solution is to find a container designed for the volume you are about to carry. The people who are losing you, some of them are the old containers. They were appropriate for the season they held you true. Honor that season. Be grateful for it. But do not mistake the container for the content. You are the content. The container served its purpose. Release it with grace. Step into the new container, the new environment, the new relationships, the new assignment, and carry the volume you were designed to carry. I decree that the season of shrinking is over. The season of performance without assignment is over. The season of maintaining relationships that cost you assignment is over. The mandate is clear. Return to your design. Occupy your assignment. Let the wrong people lose you, not with hostility, not with drama, not with announcement, but with the quiet, unmistakable momentum of a person who has finally returned to their original function. There are people in your next season who have been waiting. They have been waiting for the original. They could not work with the copy. They could not collaborate with the performance. They needed the real design to show up at the real address of its assignment. You being in the wrong place, maintaining the wrong connections, operating in the wrong environment meant they had to wait. Their assignment was delayed because your assignment was delayed. This is bigger than you. This is a kingdom issue. There are mandates connected to your mandate. There are assignments that are waiting for your assignment to arrive so they can be activated. Every day you remain in the wrong environment is a day those connected assignments remain dormant. Arrive. Arrive at your assignment. Let everyone who belongs to the wrong address lose you, so that everyone who belongs to the right address can finally find. I mandate this. You will not die having been excellent in the wrong assignment. You will not fill a graveyard with what you were made to deliver to the living. You will not reach the end of your life and discover that the gap you were manufactured to fill remained open because you were too busy maintaining a comfort that was never designed to last. You were not designed for comfort. You were designed for contribution. And contribution of the magnitude your design carries requires the courage to be lost by everyone who cannot locate your original function, so that the ones who were given coordinates to your real address can finally arrive. The time is now, not next year, not when circumstances are better, not when people understand. now. Your assignment does not wait for consensus. It waits for your decision. And your decision does not wait for permission, because the only one with jurisdiction over your assignment already issued the mandate before you arrive on this earth. The license is already stamped. The blueprint is already sealed. The gap is already waiting. Here is what you do from this day. First, write down your assignment in one sentence. Not your job title, not your role, not what you do for money. The gap you are manufactured to fill. One sentence. If you cannot write it yet, begin asking the right question every morning until it arrives. Second, identify one relationship or environment where you have been shrinking and make a decision about how it changes in the next 30 days. Not a resolution, a decision. Third, take one action this week that is directly connected to your original design. One action that requires no permission from anyone who has ever required you to shrink. Fourth, find one person who is operating in their original design and spend time in that environment. Alignment is environmental before it is personal. Fifth, share this. Not because content needs to trend,